Yeah, I believe that's the correct assessment.
Well, where are we at as far as the property goes? Is there anything, you know, I'm hearing different stories on their property. Are we for sure got something with the city over here, or?
Yes, sir. Sheriff and I met with the Industrial Development Board a couple of months ago and reached a verbal agreement on it. The city council met yesterday. Today is Thursday. And met yesterday afternoon and talked about it as well. I think everyone is on board with the property over at the industrial park. They requested that we all sit down and talk through it and get a handle on what the county may want to give for it, and what the county may be able to give for it, and what the city may be able to do, and nail down specifically which property it is at the industrial park that the county wants. I think we're pretty clear on what part it is. I did inform the council, before the county purchases the property, we've got to also make sure that it's suitable. We don't want to get the property and find out that we have to spend $10 million to get it ready to go if there's water issues.
Yeah.
And their blueprints is gonna have a lot to do with what we gotta do with that, right?
That's right. That's right. But I think we have it highlighted as the one area we just need to formally agree with the city, maybe some kind of purchase agreement or something like that about the property. If it's suitable, go forward with the purchase. If it's not suitable, options being city.
We were told the other day that if we didn't build a judicial system, that the city didn't want us over that. I mean, didn't want us to have the property. So, I mean, I know that's what Dale was talking about, I guess.
Yeah, and, you know, there is a factor of funding for this thing, and, you know, I know there's no, what we've been told, there's no grants there for the jail itself, but maybe for the judicial system. Is that correct? Possibility?
That's what I've been told as well. There's just not any money out there for jail construction. There's possibly going to be some, or might be some, for a judicial complex added to it. And like I said, we've reached out to at least one senator down there in Washington. That idea has been mentioned to him and his staff, and we're trying to flesh that out a little bit more here.
Yeah, any money that would be for the jail would be pennies.
Yeah.
It would be, if there would be anything, it'd be very minor dollars.
So what's the blueprint that they're giving us a rough draft of? How many beds is it?
That's what we got to finalize about what kind of beds we need. I think we have an idea about inmates and what we have in jail, what we had in jail, what we might could put in jail. The question is going to be how big do we want to build it, looking forward to the future.
Yeah, I didn't have time, man.
I didn't
I just drive out the ditch and come on.
I like it.
As far as what the city goes, that the Industrial Development Board did strongly recommend having both components, just in the sense that it gives a better taste in the mouth, to have a judicial center out there rather than just a jail. Explain that to the council. I think they are on board with the concept of having that both of them together as well. And just like most everything else, this comes out of the cost. These gentlemen can talk about that need a lot more so, this need for space. You have tons of rain doing on the restroom with the probationers.
Yeah, on report day, there's usually a line with me and the probationers waiting to go in to use the restroom. They're doing drug tests and all that other stuff. But yeah, like Scott said, cost is obviously the deciding factor in this thing. But you know, if there's, I don't think anybody knows what the cost will be, how much it's going to add to it, because we haven't got anything back in the way way of any sort of numbers from the architects. But if it's something that can be done, it could save a lot of money for the county, money for the sheriff's department, manpower hours, gas money, things like that if it's all together. Because my thoughts on the way this thing could work best for the sheriff's department and the county would be if, it's all there. And once the sheriff gets them in jail, they never have to leave the secured building that they're in. So as it stands now, when we've got probation revocation dockets, say we've got 40 to 50 people almost on every revocation docket, the sheriff's got to make 3 trips minimum in his 15-passenger van to get them there. He's got to have somebody driving the van. I guess he's got 2 people in the van when he brings that first load there, and he leaves those 2 people there, plus Dana that's there in the courtroom, and they go back, get 15 more, send 2 more deputies, go back, get the 3rd load. So he's got, if you include the sheriff, anywhere from say 6 to maybe 9 county officers in the courtroom, and having to make 3 trips down there just for plea day. If we could build this thing to where he just walks them down a secure hallway into like a room that I guess is effectively a holding cell. And so you have it between 2 courtrooms. Because sometimes Carter and I will have our inmate plea days. It's all together at the same time. And so we're using 2 courtrooms at the same time. So sometimes he's in the big courtroom, I may be on the 3rd floor, I may be in the small courtroom at the end of the hall. Sometimes Hammett's got stuff set, and he's got to have a place. But if we've got, like I said, a central holding room that we can put our 50 inmates in, and we've got a courtroom on each side, he could get by, if you've got them all handcuffed and shackled, you could get by with 1 deputy, maybe 2, getting them into that holding area. And if you've got access on, in that room to each courtroom, it'd just be a matter of having an intercom or something and say, hey, Sheriff, send me John Jones to courtroom A, and then, Carter says, hey, send me Bob Smith to courtroom B. They just, secured door into the courtroom, they have court, and they come back. You don't have to worry about them having access to the public. You don't have to worry about the public trying to visit with them during the court. That's one of the things that we always have a problem with. Everybody wants to sit across, from their friend, their kid, their sister, girlfriend, whatever, in court, and they're trying to whisper back and forth, and they're trying to toss some stuff back and forth, and leaving things in the restroom that they're not supposed to have.
What, not to interrupt you, but what would be needed from a judicial center? We got 2 circuit judges, a district judge, district attorney, court reporters, circuit clerk, juvenile,
State probation,
state probation, and then the CRO.
CRO, and community corrections. You also gonna need an exhibit room too. That's one thing that we've got 1 full-time exhibit room. Sherry's exhibit room, my court reporter's exhibit room doubles as a supply closet. On the 3rd floor, we got tables and floor buffer and all that stuff in there that the maintenance guys have access to. They don't really need to have access to the exhibit room where exhibits are stored.
I know we can eliminate the rest of this, we can eliminate the 3 trips on these vans easily. Go to Marion County school system, get us a bus, take them all at one time.
Yeah.
That would eliminate that problem.
Yeah, that would.
Well, Judge Burt, what's the law on the families being there on their court day? Because I've been through the courthouse when, like you was talking about, when they're doing that, and you got hallways of families.
Yeah.
Well, where are you gonna put them? Are you not gonna have to have a room for those families? Does the law say that they can be there for their hearings and stuff? You can't put them in these 2 rooms with these 2 inmates that you're...
No, the thought is this, is say just have a room like this that the inmates are in while they're waiting for court. And say that door leads to one courtroom, and there's a door that leads to the other courtroom. And these will be, just say 100-person courtrooms, okay? The public sits in those courtrooms, and they can observe court, they can listen, they see what's going on, because all of it's public.
there'll be nobody out in the halls or in the other rooms and stuff like that goes on at that one.
Shouldn't be, shouldn't
Keeps
be.
all the inmates out of the courtroom except for the one that's,
That's
I
it.
know when you go over there and there's court now, there the halls is lined up with people that you don't know if they're in court or supposed to be in here.
And
Exactly.
that's what I would throw in, we talk about dollar and cents, eliminating that, but it's a public safety concern too, because you've got, the inmates currently, they're using public hallways, we're marshalling in, we're marshalling out. It hasn't happened since y'all have been on the commission, but we've had people who've, taken off and run from the second floor courtroom, get out and get across the street and try to, they don't get very far, but as they're running through, they knock over an 80-year-old man that's downstairs to buy his tags.
And you got a situation like earlier this week when district court with complete days, preliminary hearings, and those kind of issues, and you had 3 or 4 rows of prisoners. You have family members. Prisoners have stuff going on with their lawyers. You've got all the deputies there trying to monitor it. You've got all the family members wanting to come up and whisper and say something. And a lot of times it's really innocent kind of stuff, just speaking to them. But the deputies have to be on top of all that. And you got 25 inmates, 30 inmates there that they're trying to monitor. It starts to get difficult because you really don't know what else happened.
It's about once a year, since they're using the public restrooms on the second floor, there's some family member that'll come in and try to tape something underneath the toilet, underneath the sink, something like that, and then, Bob Smith's gonna say, I need to go to the restroom, Sheriff, and we go in there and try to get whatever's been taped under the sink, whether it be pills, dope, a knife, whatever it is that's there, so.
And the other problem is this, is every time they take an inmate to the bathroom, they have to research, search the bathroom again. Because when they go back in, they start having court, the public just has, unobserved access to the bathroom. And then somebody can go back in there and put something after it's already been searched again, so, that's something they've gotta do. Deal with as well.
What if, let's say that they want us to, let's just say we can't afford that whatsoever. And because of that, they won't let us have it over here. Where are we at then? I'm just trying to look at different avenues. And I'm all for if we can't do the judicial system on, say, phase 1, let's get the jail built, and let's plan to build it where it's ready to build onto. But they'd be acceptable with that.
That I don't know, that'd be a question for the sheriff or Scott, because I haven't talked to anybody on the industrial development. The only information I've been getting is from Scott and the sheriff as far as, the property over there.
I think that's something that would just have to be explained to them if it can't be done.
I'm kind of like Dale, this, doing the judicial system inside the jail or with the jail. If we don't have the money to do the judicial system when we do it, could we kind of declare, like he said, add on, have a small hall, you got your building here and your building here, but it's still attached to it,
Right.
and get it all done. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a question for the architects, I guess. as to
Right.
how-
Well, they told us, that they could fix places to add on anytime or anything like that, I think. And then one time we talked about building, what was it, the big building, and then putting different things in different areas,
I don't know anything about that, but I just know as far as the needs for my office, and that's all I can speak to. I don't know about the other offices that are there, but we're bursting at the seams for what we're using. I've already got, the main suite that my office is in, office in between the stairwells next to the tag office where I've got one investigator, and then I've got another room over behind the elevator for 2 other employees that work part-time over there. I've got no place to go. If I needed to add another employee, there's no place to put them in my place. We've spread and moved as much as we can. What we've got, we've come back and asked you guys to provide us, additional office space here, additional office space there, just so we can keep up with things. That's one of the main things, if you do decide to build a judicial center, and I know cost is a main portion of it, but keep that in mind. You know, I don't know if y'all been to the Winston County Judicial Center that's there, but, you know, that's a new facility. And it's smaller than what I've got here. I have absolutely zero, there's no place to go. There's not even another room open in that judicial center for me to put somebody else in. I have no place to expand there. And take that into effect when you're looking at these plans. I know it may look like, oh, well, there's an empty room here and an empty room there, but you gotta look forward look and into the future and take that into account as well, because if you build something for what we need right now, 5 years from now, there's a great possibility it's gonna be.
Well, personally, I like the idea of the judicial system if it fits in our budget, you know. I mean, I'm all for the, having them all there, the safety aspect of it for the public and all that, and, you know, rooms and all. I'd love to have that, but we gotta, another thing we gotta look at is where our funds coming from. And what we've all got some ideas when you sit down and hash out, you know, on some revenue. And, of course, Tim and I is gonna be going to Montgomery in a few weeks to see if we can make some headway down there. And,
You wanna go with us, Jay?
Where you going?
We don't know yet.
Let me know when you get there.
That's my biggest concern is funding for it, you know. I'm all for it myself. But then
That's
again,
me.
we gotta kick yourself a hole too, you know.
It's kinda like Judge Burt said the other day, as far as the size of the jail. What you said, if we had one at Holt 300, you could fill it up today.
We could easily fill it up. You know, the bonds that we're setting right now are just crazy low because we got nowhere to put them, and we have to prioritize who needs to stay and who needs to get out. You know, 6 or 7 years ago, you get somebody just say on the failure to pay docket where they, you know, owe $8,000 restitution and they ain't paid but $100 over the last 5 or 6 years. The only way they're gonna pay is when they get picked up and they want out of jail. And, you know, right now, we can't, you know, put any pressure on anybody to pay fines, restitution, or like that, because Kevin's gotta have, you know, room to put the people that have been arrested on, you know, Class A felonies, Class B felonies, and, you know, things like that. We get people that get put on probation on misdemeanor charges. They violate their probation, well, I can't send anybody to prison on a misdemeanor charge. So the only place for them to do that 1 year sentence is in the county jail. Well, I can't tie up one of Kevin's beds for an entire year on a guy that's on there on a misdemeanor. That's, you know, so these folks that have probation on misdemeanor, they're like, you know, heck, I don't have to go do drug tests, or I don't have to pay my fines or my court costs, or, you know, show up for probation because, you know, they lock me up. I sit in jail for 2-3 weeks or a month waiting for my court date on the revocation docket. They gonna reinstate me because they ain't gonna make me sit in there for a year because they ain't got no place to put me. So, I mean,
What's the law said about us using them as workforce out there cleaning their right of ways like?
county attorney.
I mean, if they want to sit in jail, we can put them to work.
Yeah, look, they've got work release over there in Winston County, but the problem is you gotta have a place to put them though. I mean, that's the thing.
After it gets dark, they gotta go somewhere.
They got to go back.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta go back, and Kevin's gotta, you know, search them when they come back in, and, hey, listen, you know, you think of these guys, well, they ain't very good criminals, or they're not smart, because they keep getting caught, but let me tell you, those guys get creative about trying to slip drugs into the jail. Holy smoke, some of the things that they come up with, you know, they had a problem there for the longest, on their jail mail. You know, they don't put stuff in the jail mail because the sheriff gets it and opens it up and all this other stuff, but they would get these Suboxone strips. And, put them somewhere on the envelope and dilute them down, and it'd soak into to the envelope. So the sheriff gets their letter out, and, you know, okay, yeah, there's nothing in this, send it on back. Well, they're back there licking envelopes, getting high, and all this other stuff. Who would have thought, you know? But if there is a way to get it in jail, they'll eventually figure out how to do it. It's crazy.
One thing to kind of tag on what the judge said about misdemeanors, I mean, y'all are all aware of the prison reform that the state of Alabama's under. And one of the things that the DA's Association have been told is, be ready, because the major push from our state legislature is to start reducing criminalizations of things. So a lot of stuff that would be a felony that we could send people to prison for would then become misdemeanors. And so the burden falls back on the county is what the state legislature is looking at. They're like, we don't want to spend millions and billions of dollars on prison systems. We're going to let it fall back on the counties. And that's where it's ultimately going to come back to y'all. There'll be more misdemeanors that'll be prosecuted. You know, they're talking about making, anything you steal up to $1,500 a misdemeanor. If somebody comes to your house and steals, you know, a lawnmower, a weed eater, and everything else, you know, it's gonna be a misdemeanor. You know, I put them in the county jail. They can't go to prison and stuff. They come steal you, you're hunting for with her. You know, unless you got a brand new one, you know, a lot of people that's gonna be less than $1,500, so it's gonna be right here at the county jail. So a lot of that kind of stuff will end up, you know, it looks like we'll end up falling back on county and county jails as far as numbers in the future. That has to be considered. And that's not with the judicial center, that's just for the jail part of it.
I think what a lot of people don't understand, it's not the point of borrowing, the money. Say you're gonna build a $10 or $12 million jail, and then you need a judicial system of $4 or $5 million. As of right now, in Marion County, we can't afford to pay the insurance and on our prisoners that we've got in there. We've got that problem we're facing right now. It's went up, what was it, $70,000 to $80,000 this year that we've got to come up with funds. And just so luckily, I think we've got some funds to take care of that for 1 year. But within another year, that's going to come up again. Do you think that the medicine and all that and the doctors and stuff is going to come off that? It's just going to keep rising. It's not just the bond payment for the jail, and then you had a judicial system, you got that. We've got to consider that, and then you're talking the power bills, the heating and cooling. I don't know what it's going to work out to this. And my thought was on a new jail that it would probably cut down on hands, but what I hear from the new, to run it 24 hours and run it sufficient, that it's going to take more hands to do for the sheriff department. But that, you know, that's a different department from the commission, or, you know, but there's a lot more of the fine tuning. The cooling, the heating and stuff is probably triple to what it was in 1979 when this jail was built. And with the insurance and stuff, Scott, he probably knows more about that than I do, where the cost is jumped, what, $70,000 or $80,000 and that.
Well, about 75.
And stuff like that. So it all boils back down to the money. And, you know, I'm kind of like everybody else. If we can get a judicial system, if Judge Burt pull a rabbit out of his hat and bring us some money to pay for it, you know, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But that's what, and I don't know, I know Tracy, I know he's been working with him and stuff, and we just need to see some action and get and we got to do like we said, we've got to sit down and figure out how much funds is coming for a bond payment for the jails and how we can create jobs or money to come in to do that. You know?
I know y'all gotta be good stewards with the money, but, you know, I want to, you know, there is a need for expansion in the judicial realm of things, because, you know, it's tough on us because I've got people spread out all over the first floor. You know, if I need somebody, my phone systems don't go all the way back to the people behind the elevator, so if I need them, I gotta go get them. You know, it's not but a minute or two to go do it, it's not that big of a deal, but if somebody's right there, you know, there is a need for expansion.
And with the jail and the judicial system together like that, we're still heating and cooling a courthouse, that there's nobody on the second, third floor. and your air cooling goes up, and your heating goes up, and, you know, those floors. And you're gonna be paying, you still gotta pay the power bill and upkeep on the courthouse. And then you still gotta add this, and you gotta think down the road, you know, 4, 10, 12, 15 year, 20 year for this bond payment. How's all this gonna figure in to make that each month or each year to do that? Your power bill, they don't let you slide on that. And,
They do not.
you know, and you still got to keep the upkeep of the courthouse.
Mhm.
And my theory on the courthouse is historical, Marion County Courthouse. And the more we take away from it, if we can put people back in those offices, the better off we'll be. If we can keep people there, you know.
I think that's what you gotta look at as a commission is, you know, how many different annexes are run by the county right now?
Right.
You gotta look at, the jail and the sheriff's office is one annex that you shut down. The place where community action is that you keep up. This building that's here. You know, those are annexes that you have to look at and make a determination, are those annexes still needed, or is those people be able to move back into
Courthouse.
a courthouse that has an empty second, third floor and, you know, half of, 25% of the first floor.
And you could probably, if you had one of those annexed, but I think there's so much money tied into those annexes that you can't just kind of close them down, but you could probably take the paperwork out of the courthouse and fill one of them up with stuff that's needing storing somewhere, you know. But, you know, that's just my thing.
And that's a lot of rooms, like you're talking about going to the bathroom, doing the drug testing and standing in line. See, there's bathrooms at the courthouse, but they could use these separate bathrooms just for this, and they wouldn't have to go into the public restrooms.
Well, the problem is that they don't have that on the third floor. You know, we've got juvenile probation, we've got state probation on the third floor.
There's one back.
Yeah,
So where do they all go now?
into my bathroom. Yeah, I mean.
But all I'm saying, you said though, the public, they were sneaking drugs into.
Oh, no, we're talking about two different things. When everybody's doing report day, and you've got state probation and juvenile probation, they're all on the third floor, and that whole floor is using that one bathroom. When you get down to the second floor, they have got those two bathrooms that are directly across the hall from the big courtroom that are in the witness room.
Yes.
That's the closest bathroom for the sheriff to take him into.
See, there's a lot of these issues right now we could solve,
Right.
like the busing, the bathroom part, because if we started on the jail today, how long is it gonna take for it to be built?
Oh, gosh.
That's what I'm saying, there's issues that need to be solved now.
Right. Well, the other problem though is this, what are you gonna do about the jail crowding issue though? That's the problem you got right now. You know, I was reading Yellowhammer News this morning, and they had an article that the state system is at 160% capacity. You know, if Kevin's got 160 people in the jail right now, and it's built to hold 85, he's at 185% capacity. And so the state's dealing with the Department of Justice at 160. I mean, I think that needs to be the biggest concern right now. You know, fixing bathrooms at the courthouse, you know, ain't gonna do anything with the sheriff down there. And I think that needs to be at the top of the list, is avoiding involvement.
There's no doubt the jail is the most important
Yeah.
part.
Involving the Department of Justice. You don't want them
That's their.
sticking their
That
nose
was my
in.
point with the misdemeanor thing,
Yeah.
is don't look at the numbers we have, or even, the numbers that might be projected, is you gotta build for the future.
And all, like I said, it all goes back to the funding for it. And I don't know about these guys, I'm sure they think the same way I do. I'd be more than welcome any ideas from you two on funding, from anybody in the public.
Yeah, I'll be glad, everybody I talk to.
Somebody that.
Yeah.
Somebody that just sits back and listens may have one of the greatest ideas. We'd love to hear, we covered anybody's ideas or help on some of this funding. I know y'all know a lot of people, Montgomery probably, that Dr. steers towards, and we appreciate any help like that. But I think it all boils down to the funding period.
Well, as far as constructing a jail, as Scott said earlier, I don't think you're gonna be able to look to Montgomery or to Washington for money to pay for a jail. It's gonna be something that the county's gonna have to figure out a way to generate the money to do it. And that's the problem, whether that's a increase in court costs, you know, the folks that use the courthouse ought to pay for the courthouse, whether that's increasing, court costs on, you know, criminal charges or traffic tickets or, you know, civil cases, that'll generate some money. Right now, the sheriff, you know, serves all these civil lawsuits, you know, you get them served by sheriff's process. Currently, right now, nothing's being charged for that, right? I mean, sheriff's got, I know he's had one deputy that does it full-time, I don't know if it's two now, but that just goes out and tries to find these people that have been sued or have subpoenas served or whatever.
And that's really easy to do too, you know, the deputy only makes one trip to
Yeah.
get it served.
Yeah,
Okay, and we've talked about this and talked about it, how can we start and making it active and so start charging it, doing it? What's the process and?
It's gonna go local after that.
Yeah. That's what Brooke and I are going out Tuesday and meet with our bond council. We can get out exactly what y'all can do, what we need a local act to do, or what we may need a constitutional amendment to do. Like court costs, we have to have a constitutional amendment to get a court cost. It has to be a vote of the people to add that on. I think properly worded and situated, that's something that will pass. That's what we want to do is get down, here's our options as to what we can do, and here's how we can do those options. And then the third is what would each one of those options bring in. Like a court cost bill, we added $10 to it. What would that be expected based upon all the cases that we have and the collection rates of those cases? And all the other various taxes or other forms of revenue, what would it cost? Because we don't want to do, we may need to do a bunch of things that bring in a little bit to all add up, but what can we do that's going to bring in a consistent form of income that's going to not only pay for the bond payment and then pay for the ongoing concern of the jail? Like Keith said, we're probably going to have personnel is going to have higher costs. So
Maintenance.
maintenance, hopefully
Electronic equipment, I mean,
that's
it's
going
the
to
old
be.
shot and news in.
Do we have any
That stuff's
idea
not
what
cheap.
would bring the most revenue in? Do we have any idea? No, I'm talking about on the court costs and the fines, and do we have any idea on that?
I know that Scott doesn't, I mean, we,
Court costs would not bring in enough to pay for a bond payment on the jail.
yeah.
Run
It-
half
it-
to a little over probably.
If that much.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to look at multiple.
Yes.
Are they any money that comes in through Marion County that Scott you're aware of that is being, I don't know how to word that. Are there any
Distributed out that we could keep.
Yeah, divert it from some other
that
place.
could use that was, I know, I think, and Kevin's not here, I'd ask Kevin, but, you know, I think on the food deal, the governor took that back or whatever. If there any of that money left, where does that go now? Could that have been put towards a jail or am I thinking wrong on that?
That goes strictly to the sheriff as it was constructed. There's a few things that the county collects money on for other entities that we're basically acting as pass-throughs on. And those are a couple of the areas that we want to look at a little closer to see what we can do. Obviously, a lot of those other agencies that receive the money is dependent upon that, just as the county is as well. But I think not only for the jail, not only for a judicial center, but basically the future of this county, we're going to have to do an overhaul of looking at our revenue sources and how those revenues are distributed. So obviously, there is so little that comes into the general fund of the county commission that y'all get to keep to operate all the offices and all, pay your hands and do all those things the county is being asked to do. We gotta figure that out. Mr. Slatton mentioned here earlier, the state's figuring this out in an extremely slow manner, but at some point, we've talked about federal inmates and contracting with the feds to do that, because the feds like, it makes no sense for us to build jails that house these people when we just contract with Coleman County. The state at some point in time is gonna be like, why are we building all these jails and we're trying to maintain all these jails when we've got a felon that we're gonna keep for a couple of years, why can't that guy stay in the Marion County jail? And so that there's going to be a lot more that gets pushed down onto the counties, and it's not just in the judicial realm, it's going to be in every aspect.
Let me ask this question to Goodwin and to Scott. The mega prison's supposed to be coming within, what, 5 years, what they're saying? 5 to 7, at least, what somebody told me, that we're probably gonna lose our, what do you call these?
Those are the aged, A&I, the aged and
We're
deferred.
probably gonna lose those. Well, if we did, and let's say we build a 200-bed jail, are one of those facilities not good enough that we could transfer all women? You know, you're looking at how many women's in jail now, 40 or 50 maybe?
Yeah, 40 to
Probably
50.
average 50. Are they not one of those facilities good enough that the women could be housed in one of these? And if we had a jail over here, and we had a judicial system there, this facility on the hills right across the road, you know, could that be made into a women housing for our women down here in jail?
I have no idea, I haven't been over there, but the problem is you're gonna have to have it fully staffed and dealing with utilities
Well,
on it.
you gotta have a lady deputy on to check them and to do all that other with it.
Yeah, I mean, but you'll have to have more than one person
Right.
at a separate facility to supervise 50 women.
And I'll answer to both those facilities, go back and look when those two facilities were built. They're gonna be just as old and in about the same condition. I know as far as A&I goes, the building portion of it is gonna be approximately the same age as what your jail is.
You think it's in bad shape as the jail is?
Sure, that's possible.
I've not been in the back where, you know, the holding facility is, but,
You know, they're holding people now, they're sleeping in them, they're staying in them. And I think, this is my, I think criminals, I mean, they ain't gotta have a Marriott or a Motel 8.
No,
You know, and I'm just thinking this might be a place to house the women separate,
right,
to help out on the numbers on the jail, and I know it's gonna grow. And I think, I believe somebody told me that maybe we're doing a survey on what's gonna be Hamilton population in the next 10 or 20 years. Did somebody mention that, or maybe said that that's what we need to do, is have it, that you can go and get that done for 20 years from now and tell you what the,
right.
and do. But, you know, that's just a thought. I thought if those A&I buildings was fit to do that, that might cut down on.
So you'd have to buy them from the state.
by the state, like I said, you're gonna restaff everything that's there. So the
Right.
things that you currently have a staff in one jail doing, you're gonna duplicate a lot of those services, having two separate facilities. And then, like I said, I know those facilities are,
Well, the new
They're-
jail,
they're
you gotta
older
have,
and
you gotta
they're-
house the women and the men all separate too, you know, and.
Yeah, but you're still dealing with the same staff.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I mean, you're essentially gonna have to have two separate staffs for each
One man,
one.
the tower be watching all of them.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, the state, it's like Scott, both Scotts had said earlier, the state right now, because they're dealing with these Department of Justice issues, are trying to transfer their burden to manage the jail population onto the county, which is why it takes forever to get the state to come get a state inmate out of the county.
And they're only paying how much a prisoner?
They're not paying anything.
And and how much they should be paying?
Well, Scott, you got any idea how much the cities pay?
To have inmates.
Yeah.
Like 175. I can go pull the bill and show you, but it's not that much.
Yeah.
But a little bit.
Yeah.
So much a day.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
municipal, but the state doesn't have to pay anything to the county jail.
That's what I don't understand.
The cities do.
Yeah.
Why
So,
is it state exempt from it?
yeah, they write the laws, that's it.
kinda like-
They decided
that's
they were
like
giving us
the cities,
enough.
the cities don't pay nothing for us to house their, county to house their people, do they?
Yeah, they pay so much a day. I
It's
don't know
not
what,
that much.
A lockup fee and then so much per
Lockup
day.
and housing.
Right.
yeah, it's not much. So what they do is they're like, you know what, we ain't got any room, we don't wanna take any more inmates, so we're just not gonna get them from the county.
Okay, that money, where does
And the
it go
county's stuck with
when we charge them for that?
It goes into a jail fund, which is now being used to pay part of that insurance that you're talking about. It's being used to pay the difference in what it was last year to this year.
Okay, can they raise that fund? Who would have the authority to raise that, to charge the cities more to house it?
The cities can't afford it,
That's
that's the truth.
the commission would have that and, did that. But maybe
They already have to pay
three or so
behind,
years.
they're already behind on their payments. They don't even, not all the cities are able to stay current on their payments.
Never know yet.
Yeah.
So the federal, how much the federal pay?
When the commission went up on that last time, I think you talked to the sheriff to get your numbers, but I
You
think you
need to
saw
check
the
the
number of
Conley.
city
Yeah.
inmates went down drastically. They just started letting people sign their own bond and
And go.
go instead
I
of
didn't know how that worked and
lockup
what it
and
was and where that money went. And that money that you're talking about has went to a separate fund, and that's what Kevin was talking about.
Yes, and it's just been
Usually-
sitting, waiting to be used for like a feasibility study for a new jail, things like that. So it has not been used until this recent insurance change.
Kenneth Coleman, you need to go to Coleman and talk with the way. the
Yeah, I heard
folks-
federal, they're paying for their jail through federal inmates.
They are housing, the sheriff and I went, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And to house these federal inmates, they've got certain requirements, and they've got to get approved, by almost Department of Justice or the federal prison system, whoever, to house their inmates. So, they don't have a federal prison there in Birmingham to house inmates that are going to federal court in Birmingham, so they contract out. And Coleman's one of those places. So, you gotta meet their guidelines. But when I was there with the sheriff, they said a few months ago, they had, I don't know, 50, 60 federal inmates over there. And they got a little flyer that talks about, how much money the jail's taking in or the county's taking in and where it goes and all this other stuff. They were bringing in over $500,000 a year housing 50 federal inmates.
That's like 600,000.
It's crazy.
So who do we need to talk to get some federal inmates?
Bureau of Prisons have a projection for you, they can give you.
Somebody gotta have a contract to do this.
Yeah, but you gotta have the facility
You got a
and
facility.
it's
built,
approved
they'll give you a
before they'll give it to you. Yeah,
You got to have the facility they want.
Yeah.
It's the field of dreams.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
But you gotta build it according to their
You gotta
guidelines.
count your chickens before they hatch.
So
These
the
guys have
federal,
to be housed separate from your regular.
Yeah, you can have them there in the same building, but you just gotta carve out a little space that's separate from the state inmates.
so when we
Separate
get
cell
this,
block.
You
Yeah.
have a different cell block that's just for federal.
That's it.
the federal pays good, the state's exempt,
Yeah.
the county's in the hole for the jail,
Yeah.
and the city can get
Pays
behind on paying everything, and the county's responsible for it all.
That's it. That's it.
I
And
mean,
then,
that's a pretty good cent. I
yeah,
think.
you got it. And Coleman,
Just check it all down.
You figured it out.
yeah, and then Coleman has got a pretty darn good work release over there. And so the folks that are in there on child support that aren't paid, they've got them out on work release, and they're taking money directly out of their check and paying the child support from it. And then, the sheriff over there was telling us, there was one guy that had been sitting over there in the county jail 2 years, maybe 3 years. You can keep a state inmate in the county jail up to 3 years on felony charge. And, the guy had been over there 2 or 3 years, and he said by the time he got out, we had saved for him, like $18,000. When he left, we wrote him a check out of his account for $18,000. But the jail gets to keep a portion of that, and then they were paying his restitution and child support too. That's how much he had left over.
Is it work release something you might want to look into as far as a small income? It ain't gonna pay a bond payment, it might make
No,
a
but-
month bond payment.
But the important thing about that is this, is these mothers that aren't getting child support from these deadbeat dads is getting paid. You've got somebody that's owed $18,000 worth of restitution, so you got a drunk driver that hit somebody and they didn't have insurance. And, there's $18,000 worth of restitution. Well, guess what? He's in the county jail for 3 years and you got him out there working on, work release. That restitution's getting taken out of his check and given to the victim.
I'll be honest, that's, work release is also a positive for your industry, because you've got a stable workforce that's gonna show up that's 99.9% sober, and they're not gonna show up strung out on something. And the home builders to throw together a wall this morning, they're gonna show up sober, they're gonna show up every day.
On time.
There's no question about whether they're gonna be there or not. Well, we're missing Joe from decking today, so we're gonna slow down. I know it's Winston County with their work release, everybody who's a participant in that program, they're always, they're highly praising the work release program that's there, because they do get.
We need to get with our contractor and see our different options of what all this is gonna cost, then we know, of course, we know what we want, we'd like to have, and see what we can do to generate that funding for it.
Yeah.
And I think we're all in agreement on the judicial system as a whole, I think we're all in agreement there. Now we just need to know what we need to do to come up with it.
Yeah, maybe one of the things Ears and I were talking about, I don't know, maybe it was last week or week before, another possible source of revenue is this, is, when municipalities went wet, a portion of the sales tax
That's what I was fixing to ask Scott.
goes to the schools, right, Scott? Okay, and one of the main ways to get in the county jail, DUI, public intoxication, disorderly conduct, domestic violence, and I'd say every one of those is going to be drug or alcohol related. You can't have any sort of tax on marijuana or meth or anything like that, but as far as the alcohol sales, one thought I had was this, is just an amount equal to the sales tax goes to fund the jail on all alcohol sold. So
Countywide.
Countywide, yeah.
That might be a good thing to do with the draft beer coming in
I was
too.
fixing to just say that, I just read on the front of the paper, you got draft beer that may be
Right.
coming in, that may be an additional.
The question I had about it has been that the county's not wet. I mean, I know we can
do it.
still go through that'd have to be an act, it would have to be passed and all.
County'd have to go with that.
Well, the question I was gonna ask, do we get any money off of alcohol sales now in the county? I didn't think we did.
Just the cities.
But we have
Cities got
no-
theirs to the schools.
But that's your thing,
Yeah.
is the majority of your municipalities in the county are wet already.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
It's now the time you go in and you ask for that local act for the county to go with that,
yeah.
to where that you can start collecting
Oh.
income off.
Then it would help like Burt up there that's not large enough, they've got that Dollar General, they can sell beer.
Yeah.
The school would be getting, Lord knows Burt School needs some help, so,
Bear
tax
Creek,
money, Bear Creek, Hackleburg, all the small.
Then you go back to a vote countywide whether the county go wet or not.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a vote.
I don't know how long it's been since that came up. It's been a while.
For the county, was it in the mid-eighties or something?
It's been pretty.
Been a long time. But without the county being wet, there's really no way we could get an act to tax it.
Well, they could, I suppose the municipalities could to pass something and send it to the county, we could work.
That's unlikely.
Well, you could work out something as far as what they're having to pay for housing.
Yeah,
You just say, look, we'll cut you a break on housing, you pass that.
what about like a tobacco tax or something like that, Scott?
We have a
We
tobacco tax
received
right
tobacco tax.
right now, and that's one of those incomes that we need to look at. There was a moratorium put on tobacco taxes a few years ago. I don't know if that still exists or not. We need to check that out. That's an avenue where we might could raise it. We also have to be mindful, I think the way it's currently constructed, our tobacco tax money goes elsewhere. So we'd have to make sure that was, if we could add to it, that it came to
That's
Came
what I
to
was
us,
saying,
yeah.
where it goes in the county. Do you
Yeah.
know where it goes?
public authority. Our authority.
Not all of it though,
Yeah.
is it?
Not-
It's
not
dispersed
all
to
of it.
3 places.
Water
Water
authority,
authority and fire department.
fire departments? plus the 3 million. And that's it.
Well, I don't know if they actually receive it, but it goes into rescue fund.
That's, I believe somebody mentioned to me, you know, hotels, if the Lowe's comes in, we get another hotel, and if we ever get the Chevron at 7, we can, and I think they're bringing one, if I understood right, on the other side, maybe, exit 7. Let's go open that land up there that people own. If we could get a few more hotels up and down that interstate and these places, we could, which we do the little hotel tax now, but we could add to that enough to make a little difference, to make a pretty good bond payment.
And that wouldn't affect the local, but
It wouldn't affect them a bit, because most of your people are gonna be on that interstate again,
Yeah.
and, that would be a
All
good
those
thing.
things help.
What about your, this vaping, does that get, how does that fall under?
ECs and stuff.
I reckon it falls under tobacco, just regular tobacco stuff, doesn't it?
What's that now?
Cigarettes or vaping?
Haze,
Really?
they call it.
It depends on if it's got nicotine. If it's got nicotine, it's gonna fall under the tobacco tax.
Somebody told me that there wasn't nothing but regular sales tax on it. That's what, you know.
That's what I would think. I don't know.
There's not, I mean, that's an untapped source of revenue.
Yeah.
That
Running
Those
wild.
partially
you may
to
be the cutting edge on that, and get that sorted for everybody around the
Biggest
state.
percentage goes to the public water.
Say it again, Scott.
Susan, that's where the tobacco tax goes to the water authority, firefighters, and nurses schools. It's a non-existent entity that it goes to.
So if we were to get a tobacco tax raised, say 5 cents on, you know, snuff, cigarettes and everything, we'd have to have it worded to where that 5 cents came to us. Have to have the wording changed.
And I know the amount that's received assists the water authority greatly in being able to do what they do. It doesn't keep the doors open, but it really helps them.
Yeah.
And I think it would do the same to the commission. It wouldn't fund the jail, but it
No,
would sure,
you know.
sure help.
Like me and Dale were talking the other day, I mean, we've got to look at multiple sources. I
So
mean,
it's those pieces of the puzzle that end up making the big picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little does that have to-
We're not gonna hit something.
You're not gonna hit something that's
That the
gonna bring in
home run,
$20 million.
We're gonna just have to take a base at a time and get 4 or 5 enough to make bond payments.
unless y'all can figure out how we could
Yeah, I was going to say, let's
legalize
start putting up
dumping
oil
Marion
wells
County
on
tax.
some of this county property.
If we could legalize dope in Marion County,
Holy smokes.
No pun
we could
intended.
build a motel beside the jail.
Just do me.
You got any, PCI members or anything? See them? There you go.
Yeah.
I'm open for any kind of ideas that anybody in the public's got that would help us to, on funding.
Well, what number do they need to call?
Well, I can't take me,
528.
yeah, I can't take me to one, they can call me 528-0341.
That's funny, but I give out those numbers all day long when you need to talk to your commissioner.
I get them.
There are a lot of people that have suggestions, you know, and you take all of them in consideration, and the thing is, and just like we talked about today on the cigarette tax and stuff, we or Kenneth or whoever on the committee or the commissioners, we've got to sit down, we need a figure on the cost to where we know what our bond payment, you know, if we're gonna borrow the money and get it, but we need the cost, and I think that's in the process, ain't it?
Yes.
If I understand right, to how much money we're looking at. And then we need to sit down and do some things. We're gonna have to have an accountant there that can tell us, and which I think we use that one, but get some numbers, and then we'll get the ball rolling to do it. And the questions on the judicial system and the jail, you know, find out if we can do it and have a hallway to connect them, or if it's gotta be in the same building. Which would you prefer? I mean, I know we went to Double Springs, you remember when we
Yeah.
came to Double
Yeah,
Springs?
I mean, I think the way Double Springs has got it is great. You know, they ran out of money and had to pull the elevator. So, you know,
Half the building.
well, yeah, they did do that too.
And they forgot the kitchen.
Yeah, and the kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, that's kinda out of the way.
Yeah, but, you know, if you could just have, you know, just a secured stairwell or something, or a hallway that would lead from the jail into that holding room. You know, that's the only place that they could go, and they're just there. That's the easiest way to do it. It's the least amount of moving inmates around. You don't have to.
So that hold's that hold room needs 3 doors, the door to the jail and the door to the courtroom.
Yeah, that's, see,
That,
Not a door to the hallway outside. or
Back in the
anything else.
sixties and
that
seventies.
hallway needs to just have 2 doors,
I don't
one
know
to the
what-
main jail
what
and one to
agency
the
it
court.
was
or
that
the
built
holding.
these low-funded houses,
right.
they would, you could have your house here, then you'd have a hallway, then you'd have your carport here, because
Yeah.
they do it on square feet,
Right.
on the money you could borrow to do it, what was closed in and what would.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I was wondering on the judicial system. You know, if you got the buildings within 10 foot apart and got a hallway, they're still connected.
Yeah.
That hallway connection.
Right.
And if it took 2 hallways to 2 courtrooms like you're talking about, you know.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to the architect. I don't deal with design. I mean, I just got it in my head, which is gonna be the easiest way to get it in the
I
door.
think that would be the best anyway, my opinion.
Yeah. But,
And I think we make fun of Lexington County a lot with the kitchen that's 50 feet away. When you get to design and stuff, you may want to talk to your insurance people as far as having a full-blown commercial kitchen there. It may be more economical to build a smaller building away from your main building to house your kitchen and all that. So
Well, it
if
probably
was a
wouldn't have to
fire-
be as far as we had to walk to that one up there.
Right.
And what impressed us is on their kitchen up there, all of it was industrial. We liked that, those refrigerators
Oh,
and
heck.
the walk-ins and
You
everything.
need to go see Coleman's jail. That is absolutely crazy. They've got that thing, I mean, fine-tuned. They've got a binder that has got a 30 days worth of menu, what they're gonna serve for the entire year. They've got a system, at some point, I guess in the past, some of these inmates decided to fake having food poisoning so they get tripped to the hospital. So they learn from that. So what they do is this, they just randomly pull a tray off the food line and have a machine that shrink wraps it, and they put it in the freezer, and they keep it there for 2 weeks. So if one of these inmates decides, oh, we're sick, we've been food poisoned, they know what meal, what date, they get it, take it to the health department, have it checked out, and they can call BS on it or not. But they do such a great job that they actually have these public events that the sheriff's at, that they use their food prep to feed the public here and there. I mean, it's absolutely crazy how they've got big, huge walk-in freezers, walk-in refrigerators. It is crazy how they've got it done. You know, they're making all kinds of money on that video conferencing. They've gone away with having to have people there to supervise visiting, you know, because you've got video screens with the phones in the day rooms where the cells open up into. And then they've got a separate room to where if you want to go visit, you just walk in, you turn here, go down the hall, and then there's just a row of video phones, for lack of a better word, that you go in there and you swipe a card or put money on it or whatever, and as long as you want to feed that meter, you can just sit there and talk to them.
When was their jail built?
10 years ago?
It's round, ain't
Ooh, no.
Is that not their jail right there?
Well,
Oh,
maybe
I'm not.
if this jail is this impressive, we need to be talking to these people, how they funded it.
Coleman's
Who
was
they-
built in 2005.
Okay, so, yeah, 14 years old then,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's some of that.
And the front part of it is, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I wrote down.
Yeah, the front part's real nice, and then the back was,
Count your fingers.
they had
They do the pods.
the pods,
Yeah.
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 I wrote down 3.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it's really nice, and they've learned about having to deal with the locks. You know, the first locks that they had in there, they, again, smart inmates, they figured out how to jam the locks and keep them from completely locking when they get locked down for night, at night. And then they'd open the cells, and they'd all get out and, you know, have a good old time, during the big day rooms. And so they've gone back and systematically have started replacing locks. And so now when you go in there, all the doors are shut. There's no doors just hanging partially open. They're all shut. They've got a green light or a red light that's on the front of the door that you can see just at a glance to know whether it's locked or it's unlocked, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, they did it right. They have thought of everything. They've got 911 dispatching out of their jail.
Shelby's very similar as well. They have basically a medical wing, they have
They've got that in common.
the industrial kitchen, which is unreal. They have the 911 hookup there in there as well. And the pod system is so advanced, but that allows you to have expansion possibilities as well. That makes it a lot easier to do that.
Yeah, you can get in there and you'll just see a hallway that just ends with a door to nowhere. And that's where they plan on expanding. They get out there, they pour concrete pad, they haul in the pod, assemble it, and drop it down. And
You don't know who designed their jail, do you?
Yeah, they were working, they were doing,
Not off the top of my head, but I think it was Dale that asked how they funded it. Kevin and I talked to the county administrator. They had just finished paying off a bond issue and just took that money and just started financing the jail construction with it. But they're about to add on, and I want to think they're wanting to add a judicial complex to their jail right now. That's something that the county administrator had mentioned that they were seriously considering doing.
we were over there a couple of months ago, 3 months ago for a meeting, and there were a lot of construction going on.
And I think in the future, when other counties are building jails, you're gonna see more counties go with the judicial center as a whole. That's rather just building a jail, because the reason we talked about, you're running a room in your old courthouses. Is the, for lack of as crime has expanded, the judicial portion of things has expanded as well. In 40 years in an old jail, we've got a capacity of 85, and we're running at 160. Now, that's the same, those same people that rotate in and out of the jail rotate in and out of the judicial system. So, as we've had to expand, the same or a greater rate than law enforcement has had to expand.
Well, it makes sense. If we got the money, I'm all for it.
That's the thing.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
If you take the criminals out, the people that's doing everyday business at the courthouse.
Yeah, you know, two instances of dealing with criminals, since I've been practicing law. We had, district court or traffic court up there one day. And, you know, right when you walk in, there are those benches, those rows of benches right there on the left when you walk in the door. They had a ton in there, and they were about 6 rows back, maybe 7 rows back. One of the guys that was on the very, very back row, and they only had, I think, maybe 2, 3 deputies in there at the time. He's on the back row, and he's watching the folks, you know, the deputies, and he slides down in his chair, like that right there, and then just slides off into the floor, crawls under the benches, and goes out that back door closest to the elevator, crawls on his belly and goes out the door, and they catch him hiding out there in the cemetery. That was one. And then another one was, Judy had somebody up there in her office, drug tested, and the guy realized he was about to go to jail, because the deputy, it come up there, was coming down the hall, the deputy comes in the room, and, Judy says, yeah, he needs to go to the jail. Well, the guy takes off, and just, lowers his shoulder and just plows right through the deputy, and he takes off running toward the elevator. Well, he realizes he's gotta wait on the elevator, so he turns back and runs down and tries to go down the stairwell. Deputy pulls out a taser, pops him as he's going down the stairs. So we had that, and then my first revocation docket, Scott, you were there. We had a guy that I revoked, and he threw a fit and wasn't gonna leave. So they grabbed him there in the courtroom, and were dragging him out to the stairwell. Well, the stairwell's that big, you can't get a deputy on each side of an inmate. You can't go down there 3 wide. So he's at the top of the stairwell, and, he just flings his body and jerks away. Well, he goes down the stairs and drags poor Jeff Davis with him. They just go down that first flight of stairs to land there on the bottom. And that's when he starts screaming, they threw me down the stairs. Y'all are witnesses, y'all are witnesses. I mean, that was my first day of court. So that's some of the nuttiness that goes on there. But as long as there's dope in the county, it ain't ever gonna change.
Well,
That's
I think our next step is just kind of check on all this stuff that we talked about. See what we generate versus what contractors say it's gonna cost us. See what we can do then.
We got any timeline on Senator Shelby or anybody talking to them?
I haven't heard anything back.
We're on their top line,
Yeah.
which is whenever they.
Yes, thanks.
I don't know how much they are today. Somebody told me that if you can get grants for some of these buildings if you tie in storm shelter into part of it. And we might can get a little help if some of it, even though they're inmates, if it's coming a storm, you can build part of it for a storm shelter.
Well, not necessarily the jail part, but the judicial
Yeah.
system, if you make it like fallout shelter, like the building at Winfield that they built.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've heard that.
Build it for dual purposes, if
Yeah.
it gets it paid for, go right ahead. I mean,
They talk about-
you could build you a room.
and have it for a courtroom and then fallout room.
Well, you could have a room big enough to be a fallout room, storm shelter or whatever, and you could use that as just make it large enough, it could just be a big square room with tables and just have a bench. What you could do is you could have call it your jury assembly room. When we're trying a jury trial and all the jurors show up on that Monday, we may have 100 jurors show up. Or if we've got a capital like Jimmy Cooper, all right, we're gonna have to subpoena more than our number that we normally subpoena, because you figure, 40% show up, Scott? So, if we send out 750 subpoenas, just so we'll have, 300 people to strike a jury from, you gotta have a place to put them. So just have a big room like that could be that jury assembly room, where they all report when we organize the jury venire and explain to them, hey, look, this is what happens when we're trying jury trials, and these are the qualifications for serving, and, stand up, let me swear you in, all right, we gotta pick a grand jury. We could have all of that in that one room. That could double as a fallout room, because like I said, you're not gonna have anything other than a bench there, and then just have places to sit for everybody. If you got a room that large, heck, you could also use it as a reception room.
Yeah, multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They claim that you can get money for those through the state on grants and
Oh,
stuff.
they-
They talked about it at
Yeah.
the Welcome Center.
That,
They talked
that'd
about
be,
putting one in at the Welcome Center.
Yeah, I
Same
mean,
thing.
that'd be a way to pay for some of it, doing it right there. And, I mean, getting it paid for is great, but, you could really use the heck out of it for a bunch of different things. If you've got somebody that's retiring, and you're gonna have a retirement ceremony, bring them there. If you're gonna have to swear in somebody, some new elected officials, you could have it there. You could bring in some long tables to put some food on it.
That's where I think, instead of building, that's just my theory, instead of building a judicial system with the jail,
Mhm.
right them off, you know, all, I'm thinking if it had a hallway to tie it together, 10 or
Right.
12 foot, and you had this, because a lot of this stuff that you won't hear, you don't wanna see inmates during the jail if you're going through all of this. Does that make
Right.
sense what I'm saying? It's kind of separate from it. You can use it separate, like you said,
Yeah.
if you're having a retirement for a law official or whatever. You're kind of separate here, but you're still tied together here with maybe a 10-foot thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think definitely whatever you build, there has to be a secure cutoff
Perimeter
between
between.
what's the jail,
Yeah.
what's the jail,
That's
and
what
what's the
I'm talking-
judicial
Yeah,
facility, whether
yeah.
it's.
You can do that, whether you've got the first half being the judicial part and the jail being the back half, and the only way to get into the jail is going around to the back, you know, for the Sally part or whatever, or if it's a two-floor facility, you know, have the jail on the bottom, or the judicial part on the bottom, or the jail on the top. I mean, it's, I'm sure, like I
They
said,
say
I
it's
am,
easier to go out than it is up.
I would agree with that, yeah.
So who's gonna get the numbers on the courts, the fines, all this stuff? Who's gonna get the ball rolling on that?
That's what Brooke and I are meeting with our bond counsel on Tuesday to get an idea about what we can do and have an idea about how much that would bring in, you know, depending on what we can do.
Now, we've got a pretty good idea on the number of cases that are in the county. That includes city court cases.
I think we've got that nailed down.
Okay.
It's just depending on how we want to do that.
Yeah.
I think we know what that could bring in as far as that, but the main things are, what can y'all do as a commission? Just get up there and vote on something. What could y'all do? What would need a legislative act? What would need a either constitutional amendment or a vote of the people? And then what would each of one of those things bring you? If y'all did it, if it passed, what would it bring you?
Yeah.
And I think, especially with anything that requires a vote of the people, that's going to have to be fully explained to everyone about exactly what we're expecting to get out of it and where that money's going to go and what we're hoping to get. So we're gonna have to really have those things down hardcore.
You have a lot of public hearings.
Yeah, and because a lot of people don't understand the pressure we're under to get this done, because they could really care less about the jail and
Sure.
who's in there.
No, you're
Well,
right.
people don't care about it until they're educated about it, until
Right.
you tell them, hey, you know, until you become a victim, people don't care about the judicial system. Until somebody comes and steals your four-wheeler or tractor or whatever, people don't care about the judicial system. But as soon as that happens, hey, why is Joe back out? He just got arrested yesterday for
Right.
stealing all my stuff, and now he's right back out here to steal again.
That's the big thing is explaining, we need people that deserve to be in jail to be in jail. It's for the public safety. And then the aspect of, like a better way of putting it, county's image. People that want to come to this county, that want to do business in this county, they're going to look at certain things in the county. One of which is our airport, which is something to be prideful for. We have a tremendous airport. They're going to see our jail. And their first impression is going to be, you know, that's what they're going to think of this county. And they don't have to go in it, they can just look at it. And
Well, they can look at it, look at the size of it, and then pull it up and see that there's 160 people in there, you know.
it
where
gives
they
a
at.
negative impression. It's not just a public safety, it's an economic development aspect as well. And I understand, you know, people would rather that road be fixed rather than, you know, we get a nice new jail until, like Scott says,
They need it.
Until it hits home.
What about,
Or
what
until
about
their
our
kid
mental
gets
health
in, you know.
process, on these people? I mean, it seems like to me that a lot of these young kids that get on drugs and stuff, that keep returning to jail and stuff, what is our deal with, trying to help these kids, to get them out of it? Are we doing enough as a county to try to get these folks, these young people off drugs and stuff, the mental health part of it? Because it affects them, you know what I'm saying?
As far as the judicial portion of this, most of your basic level drug cases that come in for first-time offenders, I'm pretty confident saying if it's a possession offense, they're not going to prison. So we have alternative programs that we put them into. There's a court referral that's required, drug counseling, mental health counseling, things like that they go through. Other alternative programs, we've got a drug court, that meets, once a month with these people. They have to go to classes weekly, they have to go to some of the AA, NA meetings.
Pretrial version.
Pre-trial version that we have, it's, again, you go through drug testing, you go through counseling, you go through things like that. You show proof that you've completed those. Those are ways to handle your case without getting a conviction on your record.
Veterans Court.
We've got, just started Veterans Court, I think we've got one participant in Veterans Court, which that's a big thing. We have, when veterans come back and they have substance abuse problems, they have emotional and mental problems, it's a special thing. And right now, we're working with, the Veterans Affairs and Veterans Hospitals in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, that reach out and help us with those veterans programs. With the funding that we've got, we're doing everything we can do to try to battle this problem. Just like it's been since the 70s, 80s, it's a losing battle, but we go to work every day and fight against it. But with the state, when they cut mental health 8-10 years ago, it struck a big blow to rural Alabama because state provided mental health was just about the only outlet we had in rural Alabama. You go to Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, they still have a lot of those services that provide mental health counseling, but rural Alabama is slow to recover on.
Congressman Daryl just sent us a notice earlier this week where the USDA announced some grants for certain counties in Alabama with mental health, and Marion County was one of the ones that received that to hopefully help with some of this issue. But a lot of that, I think our court system deals with that as best as they possibly can. The drug issue starts basically with all bucks. I mean, it's a much more involved issue, but I think our court system deals with it as best you can, but by the time they get to the court system, it's almost past the point of really helping a whole lot.
Kind of like charging it with a water pistol in it.
It certainly is.
Back to the jail and I guess educating the public on it. The public don't understand that if we don't get the ball rolling and the federal government comes in, it's gonna cost us probably twice as much, and we're gonna build it the way they say build it, and they don't worry about how we pay for it.
They could care less.
Yeah, look, if we could get everybody in Marion County to serve a term on the grand jury, they get to tour the jail as part of the grand jury during their two meeting term or whatever.
I don't urge anybody to go down there.
I mean, the response, Scott deals with these folks when they go down to the jail.
I take them on their tour. I take them down there and turn them over to Dawn Dodd and let her do the grand tour of it all. But the people who go see it are, I hate to use such a strong, they're appalled with the conditions of our jail.
Oh, yeah, I get it from people all the time that have been on the grand jury.
Yeah, the last three grand juries that we've had, the last three different grand juries, each grand jury has 2 terms. When I take the report from the grand jury and say, hey, y'all got a chance to visit the jail, no, we're going next time. We ask them, and that's the first thing they say is, how do we gotta get a new jail bill, who do we need to talk to? We've gotta do something. So getting folks, like you said, educated, getting folks down there to look at it. And these are folks that are on the grand jury, they ain't got nobody down there in the county jail. They just see the conditions and realize, that something's gotta be done.
And to be honest, that can be a think tank, that goes back on me. Normally, my grand juries will meet on Monday and Tuesday, and we'll tour the jail on Tuesday, and they come back. If that's a group of people y'all are interested in hearing from, we can schedule, if y'all are willing to come back up here on 2 or 3 o'clock on Tuesday or Wednesday when they kind of get done with their business.
We hear from them.
I'm sure you do, man.
Or I do. I don't know about the other commissioners.
Yeah, but look, you'll have 18 on the grand jury that just came back from the jail. If you want to ask them any questions about what they thought or whatever, You'll have a captive audience, because they don't get to go until I dismiss them.
Well, we've all been through it too. I mean, we've all toured it.
We need people to come to us with ideas to pay for it, how we work in the money wise.
And, you know, kind of like Scott said, anybody that's against it, come see Kevin or Dawn, one and two, I think they'll change their mind.
And the thing about it, the jail affects every
Family.
family that are in the county, some way or another down the line.
You're right.
They're affected by it.
And Keith don't like to go in there. Keith don't like to be nowhere up closed up.
Hey, I went to it, I went with them on a tour, and I honestly, I kinda like Scott when I came out. I think the paper guy was there, the farmer boy, I was literally sick. I could not, I mean, it just took my breath. It just made me, I was speechless. I mean,
Everybody in this room that's an elected official, we're all conservative that's here, but in that three-letter word that nobody wants to hear, nobody wants to say, TAX.
Yeah, I mean,
That
that's it.
it's just to educate people as to why you need it and why it's there. No matter what it is, if it's a tobacco tax, an alcohol tax, whatever, it's got that three-letter word on the end of it that people don't want to hear, but,
Right.
if we can show what it's used for and what it's going to and show that there is a need for it, I feel like we can get something done.
But I think we'll all agree, it's a whole lot easier, or easier to do if we do it on our terms instead of having to do it.
on the federal.
Yeah, the Department of Justice is saying,
Who was it? Walker County?
Walker County.
Walker County.
Yeah.
Dr. Walker County,
Gotcha.
about 3 times what they wanted to spend, and they're under how many months of staffing to the feds funds, like 2 or 3 years worth of staffing.
And it's my understanding that the feds send somebody out to oversee it that you pay for.
They have a monitor that you pay for that oversees it that says, this is how many jailers you need for this jail. And I think, didn't they run like 36 jailers a shift or something like that?
Yes, I remember.
36 jailers a shift when they were under federal oversight. I mean,
It's unreal.
It's hard to get the public to realize what a need it is, and it's like you said, it's hard to figure out the way to pay for it, but, there gotta be some way to do it, to make things better.
I think we got some pretty good ideas to start on, looking at.
We're all on the same page with this. The money.
Show me the money. And I was hoping Judge Burt had some today, some good news coming from Winston County.
We appreciate y'all coming down and meeting with us.
we appreciate you taking your time to talk to us.
Anybody got anything else?
I don't. I'm ready to go get these wet boots off.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate y'all's time.
And see where we at.
Anytime.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/49 County News TV.